review for this year in the life science sector in North American markets, and then of course the outlook looking forward to 2024. And this is the agenda, what I'm going to talk about and who we are, and then we choose some of the sector indexes to talk about the performance this year, and then we will discuss the venture capital investment activities and some of the challenges that our industry is facing this year, and in terms of opportunities, of course, in looking forward to 2024. And so who we are. So basically, our company has three major platforms and businesses. First, NAI500 is an information portal for investment financial news and market insights. And then we have the video platforms, which is our YouTube channels. We have two, one English and one all Chinese one for investors to follow. So we'll have a lot of video content that we created for interviews for the industry market experts or companies executives in the English one, and then our own insights for the Chinese channels. And then the event platform, which is what you are right now at, GCFF conference, both virtual and in person. So we have a bit of both sector going on. So let's explain a little bit more. You can see more details here. Just the main thing that I want to point out here, NAI500 website is in China. We have NAI500.com.cn, and the rest of the world is NAI500.com. And for YouTube channels, I talk about, we earlier of the year launched the Chinese channels, so-called Invest NAI Virtual. So it is already putting up a lot of good interviews and actually video weekly updates on the market hot topics. And then for GCFF, we have the GCFF North America, but also Asia Pacific chapter, which is what we are in currently. So for the Asia Pacific, we usually work with a number of various partners that we can work together to target to specific sector and industry, like today, bio life science, but we also can do it and host events in the mining and resource focused event. So let's talk about today's major thing on the life science. We chose two representative indexes here from the US market. The first one on the left top corner is the one on biotech. You can see it's in this year is also relatively bottom out compared to last year. From the downturn, we have really good year in 2021, but since then there's some major correction in there. But on the healthcare side, you can see compared to 5 years ago, it's still pretty solid return, 30 to 33% plus. It is mainly because the healthcare ETF is including a lot of major blue chip companies like Johnson & Johnson, Merck, Pfizer, all these major pharmaceutical companies. So it's a bit more steady. So you can see is sort of will be able to withstand the market volatility, just like this past year. And in terms of the Canadian market, we have this healthcare index that shows a bit of also bottoming out this year, similar to last year. So we hopefully will see the end of the tunnel in terms of more capital coming in back in the bio life science sector in Canada. So let's talk about venture capital. So venture capital is an important factor in terms of viewing the growth of this life science biotech sector in North America. So until May this year, we see some decrease in numbers in terms of the deal flow and also the amount of the money total. But you can see in terms of the total amount, it's only down by 3% compared to 29% on the numbers, because on average, the more bigger deals happening in the first half of the year. And also the reason why we see the overall decrease, one of the major factor is, of course, the Silicon Valley Bank, the collapse in the earlier part of the year, because that is the most important incident happened that has affected the sector, because with the collapse, we're running out of that sort of injection of capital, because that bank is one of the main hub in financing a lot of small funds in terms of investing into the biotech sector in the US market. So we talk about the top 10 deals. We'll talk about the major, bigger deals happening also. One of the main things you wanted to know is Pfizer's $44 billion investment into acquiring Seagen. And Seagen itself is a antibody drug conjugate portfolio. Is really complementing what Pfizer is doing in its oncology portfolio. So with all the deals happening, you can see oncology is still one of the major force in the bio life science sector. Let's talk about some of the challenges the industry is facing currently in this year. After the pandemic, obviously all the research regarding COVID vaccines and treatment, of course, dropped drastically. So that affected the sector. We see the patents coming to expire in a few years' time. But most importantly is the regulatory procedure. The industry people have been crying out to try to make it simpler for the approval process, especially for the FDA. This year has been very slow because of shortage of staff after pandemic. So there's a lot of applications piling up, and it takes a long time for them to get approved some of the drugs out in the marketplace. So that is one thing that people should be aware of. And are we going to turn around in the marketplace? Yes, we're seeing some positives coming out in the Q3, and you can see both on the medtech and biopharma sector, those two graphs on the right. You see from the Q3 starting to stabilize and some rebound in terms of the investment, the deals coming alongside. MedTech is obviously we call it the most recent trends is the digital health sectors. It's the one of the major sector that is more financeable in the market. In the biopharma sector, one of the keynote is that the IPOs numbers have more than doubled in Q3. So we see more IPOs in that market space starting in Q3. So, and some of the hot topics this year, what are some of the hot topics? The main hot topic to highlight is the obesity drugs. So there's two major competition going on. Novo Nordisk, a Danish company, who was once becoming one of the most valuable company in Europe, have this drug called Ozempic is out in the market. So it's really having a lot of buzz about the share price of the company gone up drastically this year as well. But also Eli Lilly's own drug, they call it actually Zepbound, but also Mounjaro is also a major competitor of that obesity drug. It's also out in the market, got approved this year. Eli Lilly's itself, the share price gone up also quite a lot. So this is a major market breakthrough. The whole obesity drug market, it's estimated to be over $50 billion by 2030. So it's a huge market. So we're seeing some of the competition going on in this sector. So in summary, I like to say three major points. The biotech industry is going through some tough patches, but companies still need to be innovative and try to stand out amongst others on their research. Long-term impact on how the inflation going on, the high interest rate environment is still way to see, but we are near the end of the tunnel. We are near the peak of the interest rate already. And biotechs are underperformed this last 2 years, no doubt about it, but we're seeing this bottoming out. We're seeing better activities in terms of investment and IPOs. So we as a company still cautiously optimistic about how the outlook is going in 2024. And you can see some of the video content that we saw here on the bottom part in our channels. And we from time to time we will cover some of the life science topics here in our website and our YouTube channels. So thank you everybody that's it for my presentations.